Alright, tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about the movies of the Beatles, because I recently completed my collection of them. Of note, though, I do also have the Beatles Anthology, which is a 5 DVD set. It's an expanded version of what aired on ABC back in, I think it was 1997, but it's basically just a documentary covering the time that the Beatles started to the time they broke up in 1970. And then it's got a couple new songs that they had recorded, and it was done before George Harrison passed away. So you still had all three of those. But let's get started with this. The first film I'm going to talk about is A Hard Day's Night. This is a Criterion Collection dual format version. There are 2 DVDs and 1 Blu-ray in here. And it is in an aspect ratio of 1.75 to 1. It's 87 minutes in black and white. This movie doesn't really have a whole lot as far as plot goes. It is a very good movie directed by Richard Lester. It's basically a day in the life of the Beatles. The beginning part of it takes place on a train, or going from one show to another. Paul's got his grandfather along, played by Wilfred Brimble, however you say his name. But he was a pretty well-known British actor. And he was in the TV series Steptoe and Son, which inspired the US TV series Sanford and Son. But inside the box, you have this cardboard insert. It's like a digipack. And there's the picture of the Beatles. And this is the back of the slipcase. And there's a ton of bonus material on here. Here's the disc. That, of course, is the Blu-ray. Disc 1 and 2 of the DVDs. There's actually pictures back behind the disc. That's, of course, the Beatles performing in the movie. Not sure that there's a picture behind the DVDs. Pull one of them off and see. No, it's just red. But there is also this very thick booklet that came with it. Hard Day's Night. And it's just basically full of pictures and like essays, stuff. I do highly recommend this set. Now, Criterion also released just a DVD version of it, but it's just a single disc, and it doesn't have a whole lot of the bonus material. I think it might have a trailer or something. That's it. I mean, even the inside of the box, I know you can't see that, but the inside of the box has pictures of the Beatles all the way down through it, which is very neat. I wish there was a way to focus in on that better, but it's a very neat set. It's a very good movie, and the transfer of this looks absolutely beautiful. It's a 4K digital restoration approved by director Richard Lester, with 3 audio options, a monaural soundtrack, as well as a newly created 5.1 soundtrack. It was mixed at Abbey Road Studios, where they recorded most of their albums, of course. Has an audio commentary featuring the cast and the crew in their own voice, little featurettes. Can't do that. The Making of Hard Day's Nights 1994 documentary. But yeah, there's just a whole slew of material on this Criterion DVD of this. I mean, it's awesome. I'd highly recommend this. Movie was released in 1964, and as I said, in black and white. Richard Lester went on to direct their next movie, Help. It was in color. Let's see, how long is this movie? 96 minutes. Now this movie here is a lot different than Hard Day's Night because this one has a storyline. These East India guys are trying to sacrifice this girl at the altar. She has to be painted red before they stab and kill her, but she's supposed to be wearing like a sacrificial ring, and the ring is missing. Where is that ring? Well, Ringo has it. He bought it at some kind of thrift shop because the girl didn't want to be sacrificed and killed, so she got rid of the ring. Now, I believe this is a 2-disc set as well. Yeah. But it's just DVD. Looks like there's a picture back behind the thing. I think it's just Beatles memorabilia. Yeah. But yeah, Help is a really good movie. Like I said, it was made in color in 1965. It is an awesome film. But the movie follows Beatles as they tour around the world doing concerts here and there, and meanwhile these East India guys are trying to get the ring back from Ringo, and there's also some scientists because the ring's made out of some indestructible metal and they want to win like a Nobel Prize for it. Now there's a little booklet in here also. It's not quite as thick as the one in Hard Day's Night, but this is not Criterion, but as the same, they're the boys. And there they are performing the song Help from the opening credits. And there they are in the snow. This movie went to many different locations. And see if there's a picture of Ringo where you can see the ring. Here, originally the movie was supposed to be titled 8 Arms to Hold You, based on this statue right here. But they changed the title to Help, which kind of works. There's a ton of bonus material on this as well. I don't think disc 1 has any bonus material, but disc 2 has 30-minute making of documentary, missing scene, the restoration, memoirs of Help, cast and crew reminisce, theatrical trailers, 2 US and 1 Spanish trailer, and radio spots. It says they're hidden in the menus, so find it. There's silhouette of the boys. But as I've said, Help, another really good movie. And from there we're going to move into the Bazaar. This movie was made in 1967, Magical Mystery Tour. Is this a good movie? It's got good music, I'll say that. As far as a good movie, I can't really say that. It was originally broadcast on, I think, BBC One in black and white. Even though the movie was made in color, they didn't show anything color on It was either BBC One or BBC Two, and because of that, the movie was very poorly rated. It's only 53 minutes long, which is very lucky. It says the bonus material is 53 minutes as well. It's the back of the box. Extra features are, and this is 1.33 to 1, 4:3 aspect ratio, but special features are director's commentary by Paul McCartney, making of the Magical Mystery Tour, Ringo the actor, meet the sporting cast, Your Mother Should Know, Blue Jay Way, Fool on the Hill, Hello Goodbye, from Top of the Pops, which are just, I guess, live performances that they had done for the TV series Top of the Pops, which was a British show, kind of like the American Bandstand. But yeah, this movie, the basic storyline is Richard Starkey and his aunt join this bus tour. Let's see if there's a picture of the bus. Yeah. No. Hey, there's the inside. That's the disc. That's the bus. And like I said, this is a little book. But Richard Starkey, played by Ringo Starr, that's his real name, by the way, Richard Starkey. They get on this bus and they tour to these weird places and do all kinds of weird stuff. And the booklet's just got pictures. But yeah, this movie was made for television. And as I said, it was originally broadcast in black and white, even though it was made in color. And was very poorly rated. Nobody liked this movie. And it's not really a good movie, but hey, it's got good music. So, Beatles were under a contract to make a fourth film, but after the disaster of that, they just really got tired of making movies. Back in the mid-60s, at the height of their popularity, there was a cartoon TV series of the Beatles called The Beatles, the animated series or whatever. And the Beatles absolutely hated that show because it made them look stupid. I actually thought the show was amusing at times. Each episode was named after a song title by one of the Beatles songs. And I thought it was a cute little show. But as I said, they were contractually obligated to make a fourth film. And the makers of that TV series had an idea for a movie. And they were contractually obligated to do a fourth film since none of them wanted to do it. They said, well, go ahead, even though they didn't like that series. The resulting film was really good. Yellow Submarine. A lot of people don't know that this was made by the same people that made the Beatles animated series, but it was, and this is a really good movie. Come out in 1968. It is an hour and 30 minutes. It is a fully animated cartoon, except for a little bit at the end, because the Beatles were enormously pleased with this movie. So they actually came in after the movie had been released and they filmed a little segment for the end of it. And a little live action segment, and they actually appeared in the movie right at the very end. So you did actually have the real Beatles, although they didn't do their own voices for the movie. But there's the disc. And the background here, these are just various controls inside the submarine. But the plot of this movie basically concerns the little underwater town of Pepperland. Ooh, I never have noticed these before. I've had this forever, but these are like, I don't know, I guess film sales. That's Paul. George. Ringo. You'd think there would be one for John, but I don't see one here. There's some stickers too. I had no idea all this was in here, so I've just never really looked. But you would think there would be one for one of these lithographs for John. Oh, there is. It was stuck to the back of the book. So, I never knew those were in there. Gotta show how much I pay attention to it, but once again, it has a little booklet as well. And anyway, the village of Pepperland underwater is being attacked by the blue meanies, and this submarine captain, he decides to go get help in the form of the Beatles to free Pepperland. It's just some materials for advertising. And he enlists the help of the Beatles to go down and help, and there are the boys sitting there in the sub. But yeah, they go down and they free them from the tyranny of the blue meanies. Which is pretty good, I guess. And it is a really good movie. Like I said, it was released in 1968. I'm not really sure when. But then something else happened. The Beatles decided to make a documentary. So that could have easily been their fourth film, but they had this one made, and I'm glad they did, because it's a really good movie. But they had the idea of filming their sessions for their new album, which was going to be called Get Back. And that later changed. While they were filming that and recording the album that would follow, which was going to be called Get Back, George Martin was growing increasingly upset with the boys because they had already recorded an album called the White Album, which is a big double album of a bunch of disjointed songs. It's a really good album, but it's just very disjointed. They weren't all together on it. And he refused to stay on as their producer if they weren't going to get back together and actually work together. So while they were recording Let It Be and filming the documentary, I think it was around January of 1969, they called George Martin back and said, hey, we want to make another album together the way we used to. And he said, fine, if you want to do that, I'm on board with it. The resulting album was my favorite album of the Beatles, which is this, Abbey Road. And it's got a bunch of good songs on it. This was released, I think, it was recorded in February of '69 and released around September, I believe, of that same year. This is a very old CD. I think I have a newer one, but it's down in the basement. But yeah, this is my favorite Beatles album of all. But as I said, they abandoned Let It Be, or abandoned the Get Back sessions to record this album, and left the Get Back sessions abandoned. In fact, I'm wearing the Beatles Abbey Road shirt. It's kind of hard to show up because it's kind of blue and black and gray. But yeah, I've always liked the cover of Abbey Road. I'm walking across the street outside of Abbey Road Studios. Originally, this was supposed to be called Everest, and they were going to take a helicopter to take pictures of the mountain. But after they completed Abbey Road, I'm not sure whether they went in and finished the film of the Get Back sessions or not, if somebody else just come in and re-edited it and all that, but that resulting film did become Let It Be. This was released in this was released in September of 1970, I believe. It's never been issued on DVD. This is actually a bootleg, which is the only way you can get it. I wrote that on there myself. There's a lot of bonus material on this too. And this is a good movie. I mean, it gives you a good insight into the recording session of the Beatles. The fights and all that. Beatles initially, I guess, didn't really want this movie to come out because they were arguing with each other and stuff. In fact, there's quite a lot of contention between George and Paul, which I found kind of odd in watching this movie. That's the boys there, but that picture's like from 65, around the Rubber Soul era. But as you can see there, the chapter stops, and then there's just a ton of bonus material that they put on this bootleg DVD. And this is a very good quality bootleg DVD. But yeah, it's a very good movie. It ends with a rooftop concert by the Beatles, the last time they all performed together before they broke up in 1970. And the one other thing I do want to mention is John Lennon. He died in December of 1980. He was shot and killed by Mark David Chapman outside of his apartment in New York. I did remember the name of the apartment, but I can't remember it now. Apartment building. It's really famous in New York, but that was a sad day for music history. I guess I would have been about 8 years old at the time, but you know, I still remember the news about it. You know, it wasn't long after that there was an assassination attempt on President Reagan, but the music industry lost a great one with John Lennon, all that, and he was the second oldest Beatle. The oldest one is Ringo. The youngest one is George Harrison, and George Harrison lost his battle to cancer and I guess it was 2001, November 29th, 2001, because Eric Clapton assembled this concert for charity in remembrance of George exactly 1 year to the day after he died. And this is a very good DVD, as a matter of fact, too. I think it's out of print now, but might can find copies of it somewhere. There's two different versions of it on here. The first one's the complete concert, which is just the music. The concert, just the music, because it was a whole show of people that George liked and all that. There was comedy sketches with Monty Python and what have you. And the theatrical version is also included. The concert is 2 hours and 26 minutes. The theatrical version is 2 hours and 20 minutes. But there's a lot of songs not included on the theatrical version. So on this, I would recommend watching the concert. I mean, I would watch the theatrical version because, I mean, there's skits by Monty Python's Flying Circus and stuff like that. It's rated PG-13. It was filmed on November 29th, 2002, like I said, 1 year to the day after George Harrison died. Who put this out? Was that Warner Special? Warner Brothers put this out, which was George Harrison's record label. There's George himself. Of course, he doesn't perform in this, but his son, Danny Harrison, he does perform in this, and he's the spitting image of his father. He's actually went on to do a few things on his own. This has a pretty good little booklet in it. It's mostly just essays. There's a young picture of George Harrison. And there's Danny Harrison with Eric Clapton. See, Danny Harrison, he looks just like his dad. It's like a mini-me. There's Eric and Danny right there, and George right here. Old picture. Ringo with George. This here, there's Paul. Paul performed on there as well. It's Paul Schaefer from The Tonight Show. There was just a ton of people that performed on this concert. Jeff Lynne. There's just a ton of people. Ravi Shankar. His daughter actually performed at the beginning of it. I think there was a picture of her, yeah. There. She performed a sitar instrumental that opened the concert. It was very awesome. Yeah, Tom Petty and Jeff Lynne. And that's the full complement of the Traveling Wilburys, complete with George Harrison. Yeah. Traveling Wilburys was a group that they formed, and there's Monty Python doing the Lumberjack song. And another old picture of George. But I really love this show. It was recorded at the Royal Albert Hall in England, and it's just an awesome concert. I mean, George was the youngest of the Beatles. He died from cancer. But, you know, I really miss George and John. And Paul, he's kind of gone off the deep end since Linda died. And other than that, Ringo, he's still out there performing with his all-star band. He's a top-notch performer in my book. But anyway, that's about all I have on this video. I know it ran a bit long, but had a lot of stuff to cover. Because I love the Beatles. Sirius XM actually has a Beatles channel now. I think it's channel 18. If you want to tune into that. Of course, sometimes they play crap by U2 trying to perform some Beatles songs, but other than that, it's mostly the Beatles and the Beatles solo work. Some people that have remade Beatles songs, live performances, and what have you. But that's a good channel. Check it out. That's all I got for this video. Thank you.